Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Trend Report. You are in for a extremely informative conversation with my guest today. I'm happy and excited to welcome Stefanie Ince to the podcast. Hey, Stefanie, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks, Sid. Nice to see you here.
So, Stefanie, you're a little bit of an unknown in our industry. And so I would love for you to tell people that are listening today who you are and what you do. And then we're going to dive into the details of this.
Sounds great. So I am the executive director of a newly formed not-for-profit organization called Dovetail. And Dovetail is an organization that's really dedicated to supporting the sustainability of the commercial interiors industry. We've recently launched a website, and we're really excited to tell you a little bit more.
So I'm glad you're here. And this is about introducing our community to Dovetail. And honestly, guys, I've been begging Stefanie for like weeks, months, I think, to come on the podcast. And she kept saying, we're not quite ready to launch. We're not quite ready to launch. So we got the timing of this down. We're now Dovetail is officially launched. And we're going to dive into what it is. But I will, in full disclosure, also let you know that I am a steering committee member of Dovetail and have been involved in the development of this program. And so I'm really passionate about this. So, Stefanie, let's start with the problem. Before we talk about what Dovetail is and what Dovetail does, let's start with the problem or the challenge that exists in our industry that led to the creation of Dovetail.
For sure. So this Dovetail really started as a conversation that took place at NeoCon, I believe, in 2019, with some other members of the steering committee looking around the room and seeing that everybody looked the same, and that everybody had been in the industry for a really long time, and just recognition of the fact that there had never really been a concerted, strategic effort to really educate young people about the fact that this industry exists. And so I think Dovetail began really, from the people who have been in the industry for a really long time, recognizing that there wasn't really anything that was set up to allow a strategic way for people to get into the industry and to know that this is a really great place to be.
So I'm going to reframe that just for a minute. Our industry is aging. Typically, we all look very similar to each other, unfortunately. We have a distinct lack of diversity and inclusion in our industry. And the office furniture industry / the contract interiors industry is not something that's talked about on college career day. I mean, I spend a tremendous amount of time on a variety of different platforms talking about contract interiors. And people still look at me with like this glazed look, like, what are you talking about? And so I kind of boiled it down to say, when you walk into an office building or a hospital or a restaurant or a hotel or a rec center, and you walk in and you see all the furniture, you see the flooring, you see the lighting, they're like, yeah, we're the group that provides all of that. And then it's like this light bulb goes off because it's not anything that we talk about. I've had people tell me when I've been interviewed as a guest on a podcast, I've had people tell me, I had no idea this industry existed. Like, well, how do you think the furniture got in the building? Is kind of what I want to say. So it started at NeoCon 2019, acknowledging the biggest challenge in our industry, which is the aging of our industry in all facets and the lack of recruitment of new people to our industry. Out of that comes Dovetail. So what exactly does Dovetail do? What's the mission, if you will, of Dovetail?
Sure. So the mission of Dovetail is to support the industry by raising its profile, attracting talented, diverse young professionals, and encouraging long-term growth in the industry for success in the future. So it's about recruitment of new young professionals, but it's also about ensuring their success and engagement as they move through their career.
Okay. So it's about taking our industry to the world a little bit and going to young people and saying, hey, look at us. Look at what we do. And there are all these aspects of our industry that you can get involved in. Obviously, there's interior design and obviously there's architecture, but there's also engineering, there's manufacturing, there's safety. I mean, there's all these things. There's sales, there's customer service, there's all these different aspects at multiple layers inside of our industry to introduce our industry to people that might be interested in coming to hang out with us.
Absolutely. And the people that I've spoken with who have been involved in Dovetail thus far have all said the same thing, which is either I got into the industry because, I knew somebody, or I had a parent that was in the industry, or I fell into the industry.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know the industry existed. And, I've had a great run. I've been here for 25, 30 years, but I literally had no clue that this was a thing until I fell into it.
And that's me. I'll raise my hand there. I fell into it. And I remember the first time somebody tried to explain the difference between laminate and veneer to me, I was like, what? What are you talking about? I mean, that was 30 years ago. I won't say the actual number, but and I think it is a lot of people that work in this industry that love this industry have fallen in love with it. Will tell you it either gets in your blood or it doesn't. And once it gets in your blood, there's no getting out. And I fit into that category as well, that I fell into and then discovered an amazing career and a fascinating journey inside this industry. And I think that's what we want at Dovetail. That's what we want for other people too.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, despite the fact that so many people fall into the industry, they find a place. And that's, I think, another really important piece is that there are so many roles within the industry that, you may be an individual that's passionate about design. That doesn't necessarily mean that you want to be a designer. Working in the industry allows the opportunity, I think, to really find your place and grow and evolve throughout your career while staying in this industry and, working with great people and continuing to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about Dovetail structure for a little bit. Like, start at the top and let's work our way down about who are the people that are currently involved in Dovetail.
Absolutely. So Dovetail, as I mentioned, it really was conceived by a few people who saw the need, which is, the best reason for any organization, particularly a not-for-profit, to exist. And so we have what we call a steering committee, and obviously you're one of the founding members of that steering committee. And that steering committee really consists of individuals who are industry veterans, who've been around for a long time. They're well connected. They can help to provide strategy and really steer the ship. But that group of individuals also recognizes that they've been in the industry for 25, 30 years, and they're not necessarily the best people to have conversations with graduating students, simply because it's been a long time since they've been in that position. Mm-hmm. And so for that reason, Dovetail has also initiated what we call an ambassador network. And so the ambassadors are those individuals that we've loosely defined as being having been out of school for around 10 years. So, that path from graduation to first job to, growth into a career is somewhat recent for them. And so they're in a position where, I think they're better equipped to have honest conversations with emerging professionals around that struggle. I mean, it's a really, it's an interesting time of life, but it's, it's a difficult time in life. And so the role of the ambassadors is really to be the bridge to these emerging professionals into the industry. So, one of the roles that we see for these ambassadors is to conduct in-person or virtual presentations at, specific schools and programs where they'll be given the opportunity to talk about their journey, introduce themselves, and talk about how they got into the industry and what's worked for them.
Sure.
And so we see those two.
Well, there's a completely different perspective here, right? So you have the perspective of those that are on the steering committee that have been involved in it. And the members of the steering committee make up all aspects of our industry. So there's manufacturing, there's distribution, there's media, there's consultants like me. So it's all aspects of our industry, people coming together. It is a diverse group. And we've done, I think, really a good job at creating a diverse group to get insights from people as well. And we have people from HR, I said recruiting, I think. So we've got a really good diverse group of people, but the right way to deliver the message, and if you will, to meet the audience where they are, which the audience is the, younger professionals coming right out of school, or maybe have been in the workforce for a few years that are looking for a change, is to have younger people talk to them, meet them where they are and talk to them. And so you call them ambassadors. We first started calling them young guns. And so I still think of them as young guns. And most of them are second generation in our industry, right? That they're out of a family business, or they had a father or a mother, grandfather, somebody that worked in the industry in some aspect, not necessarily all ownership. So you've got people that kind of have it in their blood, but are also in love and passionate about our industry.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I think that's so cool about working with this group of volunteers. I mean, because you're all volunteers. And I think, despite the fact that we have people who've been in the industry for 30 plus years, serving on the steering committee, but we also have ambassadors who may be, more newly out of school. Everybody who's involved in this initiative is passionate. They're passionate about the industry, they're passionate about the cause, they see the need for the cause, and they want to get involved and really help to make this thing fly.
Yeah, so it's interesting. When I got the call about joining the steering committee, I heard what Dovetail was going to do. I didn't even hesitate it. Did not hesitate at all. Like, sign me up, I'm in. And then the people that I talk to, and I share the story about what Dovetail is doing, they're like, "Oh, I want in. How do I get involved in this?" Because everybody sees the problem that it is across our industry. If you don't see the problem, then you're not looking, because it is a problem in our industry, and most people see it. And everybody that I talk to is like, how do I get involved? So, and what you're describing, and you did this earlier, was the three-legged stool, right? So you got the stool. The first leg of the stool is the steering committee. The second leg of the stool is the ambassador. So what's the third leg of the stool?
So the third leg of the stool is industry. We are actively looking for organizations that see themselves as leaders in this industry, that recognize the problem, as you said, and want to be a part of the solution. So, the model for Dovetail moving forward is, we have the steering committee, we have the ambassadors. We need industry to be at the table with us as we continue to evolve the program. And so this third leg would be individuals that represent industry. So we're calling them founding partners, and actively at this time recruiting founding partners who'd like to be a part of the solution, to not only provide support financially, but also provide their insights. What have been the things that have worked for them in introducing emerging professionals into the industry, and how can we work together to ensure that the strategy that we have moving forward is the best that it can be, and really doing everything that we can do to ensure we've got great candidates joining this industry.
So a founding partner, basically what we're saying to anybody out there is, come have a seat at the table and help us bring new people into our industry. And I'll say this to anybody listening: if you don't believe that we have a problem, look at your business. Look at your business and see what your business looks like. Look at the average age of your business. Look at the race and sex of your business. Look at the ethnicity, the religious beliefs, sexual orientation, whatever. Look at your business and see what your business looks like. And if your business does not look like our world, Dovetail is for you, because Dovetail's mission is to help recruit new young people of diverse background into our industry. And I could get on my soapbox about this, because the more diverse our industry can become, the better job that we will do at solving problems for our customers, the better job we will do at serving our customers, the better job that we will do at serving the world, if our industry can represent the world. So manufacturers that are out there, it doesn't matter your size, small, medium, large, extra large, or just starting. If you're passionate about our industry and you want to get involved in an amazing cause, then the right thing to do is to reach out to Stefanie and say, I want to learn about how I can get involved. And we'll put all Stefanie's contact information into the show notes, but that's industry. Reach out, and you can be a carpet manufacturer, a flooring, or other types of flooring, wall covering, lighting, acoustics, furniture. It doesn't have to just be furniture, because this is for our industry as a whole. And I just got on my soapbox there, so I'll step down, Stefanie, and we can kind of move forward onto another topic. But if you're in industry and you want to be involved, reach out, right?
Perfect.
So the next thing is, let's talk about the target demographic of where we're going and what the young guns are going to be doing, and who are they trying to attract in more detail.
So yeah, as I mentioned, I mean, we are in the process of developing a multi-layered recruitment plan, recognizing that the channels that we're using for recruitment are going to impact the types of candidates that we're going to get. So, we recognize that, if you want to attract and engage young people, obviously having an integrated online strategy is important. So, the first thing that we needed was the website, which is now done. We're also in the process of developing, social media channels and, developing things like blog posts and materials that will be that will encourage candidates to want to learn more. A lot of the time, these are individuals who have, graduated from school, but they don't necessarily have a great sense of what the working world is. So, as you mentioned, some of the members of the steering committee are work in recruitment. And so developing some tools and resources that are really going to be helpful for them, not only to learn more about this industry, but just, sharpen their skills and learn how to work well in this, in this world. And so that's an important piece. The second piece is directly engaging with specific programs. So, we've talked a lot about the fact that there's a lot of students that work and go through design programs that don't necessarily, at the end of it, they don't necessarily want to be designers. So, they are people who, respect and are passionate about aesthetics and, working spaces. And so that's wonderful. And that's a great first step. But obviously, this industry offers many, many roles outside of design. So you could be, somebody who has a great passion for design, but that you also love project management or sales or marketing. And so directly engaging with specific schools to bring those ambassadors in to speak to students directly. I mean, obviously, in some instances, that's not going to be possible yet. But for the most part, I mean, the plan would be to have an ambassador that's located in a geographical area where there are programs available that we would actually be connecting those to. So I think that's a really important piece as well. And I think the other piece that, became clear to me as I was developing this recruitment plan was even the schools that we're going to are going to impact the types of candidates that we want to get. So, we're talking about the fact that we're really looking for talented, diverse young professionals. So where are we going to find those? And so really almost reverse engineering a strategy that's going to ensure that we're reaching out to everybody and we're not just continually going to the places where, where the industry has come from in the past. And so that's sort of a work in progress.
That's great. So if you're a college student on the verge of graduating with a couple of years, if you are a recent graduate, let's say within 2 to 5 years, or even somebody that's even longer than that, 5 to 10 years, and you're looking for a career change, you're looking for an industry change, you're looking for something that's a little bit different, a little bit exciting, what they should do is go to the Dovetail website, which is whydovetail.com, and they should fill out a profile, and they should make a profile about themselves and then submit that. And then I know there's a process after that and we don't have to talk about that, but the thing is go out there and fill out a profile so that we know that you're interested in our industry. Then the second aspect of that is the young guns, there I go again, but the ambassadors are going to go to colleges and universities, starting with those that have design programs. And they're going to start talking about our industry that goes beyond being an interior designer, because just because you go to school to be an interior designer doesn't mean that that's what you want to do when you get out, or that you have a desire to do that. Maybe you have desire to do something else. The ambassadors are going to share the aspects of our industry with those colleges and universities and anybody else that reaches out that wants to learn more about what our industry does.
You got it.
Because we've never been an industry that's discovered on college career day. We're not there. We're not represented. Pharma is represented, automobile, big five consulting. I mean, all these big Fortune 100 kind of companies are represented, but as an industry, we're not represented. And so I think this is a great opportunity for exposure for what we do.
Absolutely. I mean, both for the industry, because I feel like we're not giving ourselves the opportunity to even get out there, but also for students. I mean, I think that it's important for students to know all of the various options that are available for them. And I mean, Sid, that if you get the right person in the right job, you're going to get so much more out of them. You get happy people. So I think, planting that seed early and ensuring that when students are making decisions about where they want to go in their careers, that they're at least considering this industry as being one that should be considered. I think that's doing a service to both the industry as well as these emerging professionals.
Yeah. And there are so many job descriptions and job titles, if you will, available in our industry that people don't even think about. Like, obviously, you've got manufacturing where they make the product, and there's all the people that work in the factory doing a variety of different things. And that's where you find not just production staff, but you find engineers, you find quality control, you find safety. So there's this whole aspect of that. And then there's customer service, there's marketing. That's, I think, one of the things that's not talked about at all is marketing and the opportunity for digital marketing, e-commerce, other types of print marketing. I mean, there's so much marketing opportunity available in our industry. And that's just on the manufacturing side. Let's forget it. Let's not even go to the distribution side where you've got, again, marketing, you've got customer service, you've got project management. I mean, you've got sales, both outbound and inbound. I mean, there's finance is another example. I mean, I think if we started listing all of the different opportunities, we'd have a really, really long list that are inside our industry and available for people to come join us.
Yeah, and I think that's actually one of the unique selling propositions of the industry. It's almost like it's a little mini world where you can do anything, but that you're going to be working with other people who are passionate about design and great people. So it's sort of like you can get into the industry and you can even move around within the industry. I mean, members of our steering committee have said that, I started in sales and I moved over here. And so I think that's another really cool thing because it's a long life, and if, a 30-year career, people are going to want the opportunity to try new things and grow. And I think that's the other vision of Dovetail is it's not just about, filling a hole and getting people into a pipeline. I think it's about ensuring that once they're in, that they're growing and developing and giving back to the industry, which is obviously hugely important for the industry, but it's also going to ensure sustainability over a long period of time.
They need to be able to see a career path, right? They need to understand. And I'll just give myself an example. I started in dealer sales as an individual contributor. And then from there, I went to a factory. And I was an individual contributor at a factory, basically covering a territory. In that factory, I grew to be in global accounts, talking to and selling to that particular manufacturer's top 20% of their customers. And I had a whole region and I traveled the world. I got to travel the world calling on customers, which is awesome. Then I joined the leadership team in global accounts. And then I went and started a dealership. And then went to work for a small manufacturer and then joined a big manufacturer. And I stayed there for 10 years and rose to be a senior vice president, leading half the country in sales. Then to all of a sudden, now I'm a coach and a consultant in our industry, and I'm a podcaster. If you'd have told me 30 years ago when I started selling office furniture at a dealership that I would be a writer for a magazine, a podcaster, and a consultant and a coach to people in our industry, I would have laughed at you. Right. But I think that's the example of the evolution of how you can stay in our industry and grow and develop and become better at your job and really find career advancement and financial success that you're looking for.
Yes.
And that was the whole process of my career in 2 minutes.
Well done. Well done. But that, I mean, I think that's exactly right. I mean, I think and the truth is that we want to sort of democratize that opportunity so that, anybody has the chance to live that career path, or their version of that career path.
Yeah.
The other piece that I should mention is, because I think it's important when we're talking about, the opportunities and having industry members at the table, is internships and ensuring that there are opportunities for people to get involved with the industry at an early stage through things like internships, because I think that's something that, we haven't necessarily spent a lot of time on in the industry. I mean, I know there's organizations that do that, but I think that it's a really great way to provide a bridge for young people to get into the industry.
It gives you insight, gives you a little exposure to who we are and what we do. All right. So I mean, I'm super passionate about Dovetail and what Dovetail's doing. I could talk about it forever, but we've talked about the steering committee, the ambassadors, the industry getting involved, the people getting involved at the schools, and the, bringing people in, so that really, if you will, what we'd like to encourage anybody listening, if you are looking for a new career, go fill out a profile at whydovetail.com. If you're in industry as a manufacturer or a partner in our industry in any form, whether you're a dealer, manufacturer, independent rep, whatever you are, and you want to get involved in Dovetail in some way, reach out to Stefanie directly to get involved in it. So, as kind of a parting words here, Stefanie, what would you say to anybody listening as to why we need them? Why do we need them to become part of this initiative?
I mean, this is an organization that was formed for the industry. This is not based on one manufacturer or one dealer. So we see this as being an industry initiative. And in order for this to be the best that it can be, we welcome and encourage as many people to get involved as possible. And so I think that, as you said, regardless of, where you come from and or what your specific objective is, this is meant to be for the industry, to make the industry better. And so, I welcome anybody reaching out, because I think that the more people we have involved in the development of this organization, the better off it'll be, and the better off we'll all be.
Yeah. And the website's up, it's live, it's amazing. It's so easy. It's full of tons of information, and we'll continue to be adding to it. So, and I want to be clear, Dovetail is a nonprofit organization. It's funded by donations from industry. But to be involved doesn't mean that you have to be a financial donor. There are multiple ways to be involved in order to help support the growth of Dovetail and the growth, and to use your terminology, the sustainability of our industry. There are lots of ways to be involved. Obviously, we do need fundraising. That's important for nonprofits, but we also need people volunteering to help spread the mission and the vision, and to getting more young people involved inside of our industry. So if any of that resonated with you, I want you to reach out to Stefanie. And Stefanie, with that, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Email, please.
Okay.
And we'll drop the
Yes.
email. And okay.
Yeah, I'll put your email address in the show notes so you don't have to spell it all out, right? So email address, then whydovetail.com will also be there. Additionally, we will share LinkedIn information for Stefanie. Remember, if you reach out to Stefanie on LinkedIn, be sure to let her know that you heard her on the podcast and they're reaching out because you're interested in learning more about Dovetail. And Stefanie, where can we find Dovetail on social media? And where can we follow Dovetail on social media?
We've just launched an Instagram account. So
Perfect.
It's Why Dovetail, and LinkedIn.
Okay.
We have a LinkedIn page.
So those of you that are listening, open up your phone, go click on Instagram and follow Why Dovetail. Go over to LinkedIn and follow the Why Dovetail LinkedIn business page so that you can stay connected with all the updates that are coming. And again, I'm shouting out to you. If you want to be involved, you're passionate about our industry, and you love what we do and love what you do, come get involved in this really, really important initiative. Stefanie, I appreciate you being here today. I appreciate you sharing the Dovetail story. And are you going to be at NeoCon?
I am.
Yay.
I'm pumped. Yeah. Probably my first trip in 2 years.
That's right, because you live in Canada. We've never met face to face, so I'm excited to actually meet you face. We've been on Zoom calls for a year on a quarterly basis together. We've never met face to face, so I'm excited to see you in October. Thanks again for being here, and guys, go out there and make today great.